My uncle was rich, seriously rich, and he took me in when I was 13, right after my parents ditched me. 15 years later, those same parents strolled into his will reading like they belonged there. They wore these ridiculous expensive suits, pasted on fake smiles, hands shaking because they were already counting the money they thought they'd get. Then the lawyer started reading. One line. Just one. It was like the whole room snapped to attention, all eyes on my parents. And to my brother David and his wife Catherine, who abandoned their son Daniel at my doorstep 15 years ago with nothing but a note saying they couldn't do this anymore, I leave the sum of $1 each and the knowledge that the boy they threw away became the man I'm proud to call my son. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just watched the color drain from their faces while the lawyer kept going, reading the part where Uncle James left me everything. $47 million. 3 houses. His entire business, Cooper Industries. The vacation place out on the San Juan Islands. The whole commercial real estate portfolio. All of it. Looking back, I probably should have expected it. But when you spend 15 years trying to figure out why your own parents left you, you don't always see what's right in front of you. The truth is they never deserved me. That morning, the day of the will reading actually started 3 days earlier. Monday, October 14th. I was in my apartment in downtown Seattle. Uncle James bought it for me when I graduated college 4 years ago. 2 bedrooms, corner unit, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Elliott Bay. Paid in full, $375,000. He handed me the keys and said, "This is yours. No rent, no mortgage. Just a place to build your life from." He cried when he said it. I was 24 and he was still looking out for me, still being the father my real dad never wanted to be. My name's Daniel Cooper. I'm 28 now. I work as a senior architect at Morrison & Associates, one of the top firms in the Pacific Northwest. I design office towers, mixed-use buildings, stuff that actually shapes the city and gives thousands of people a place to live or work. I make $135,000 a year. Good money. Honestly, great money. Enough to feel secure. Enough to save. Enough to be proud of what I've done. Sure, Uncle James paid for my education. But the career? That was me. The skills, the promotions, the late nights, those were mine. Still, none of it would have happened without him. Everything I have, everything I am, starts with the man who said yes when my parents decided they'd had enough. I remember that day like it just happened, November 3rd, 15 years ago. I just started 8th grade at Lincoln Middle School in Spokane. I was your classic quiet kid, bookish, always drawing, never much for sports. My dad wanted me to play football, join the team, be tough, be the kind of son he could brag about. But I was small, clumsy, more interested in sketching buildings than throwing touchdowns. It always disappointed him. I saw it every time I handed him a drawing instead of a trophy. Mom was a nurse at Sacred Heart. She worked long shifts, came home dead tired. She'd make something quick for dinner, pasta, frozen pizza, then disappear into her room to watch TV until she fell asleep. Dad was a sales manager for a medical supply company. Always traveling, gone 3 or 4 days a week. When he was home, he just checked out. Sports on TV, beer in hand, barely a word to me. Looking back, they were miserable. With each other. With their lives. With their choices. I think they felt trapped in a house in Spokane with a kid they didn't understand and a marriage that had fizzled out years before. But I was 13. I didn't get any of that. I just knew our house felt cold. Other kids talked about family dinners, game nights, vacations. We had none of that. Just silence, separate rooms, people barely talking. That November day seemed normal. I got up at 6:30, got ready for school, went downstairs. Mom was already gone, early shift. Dad sat at the kitchen table, coffee in hand, glued to his phone. "Morning," I said. He grunted, didn't look up. I made myself some cereal, ate in silence, grabbed my backpack. Just as I was heading for the door, Dad spoke. "Daniel." I stopped and turned. He was actually looking at me for once. First time in weeks. "Yeah. We need to talk when you get home today. Important." My stomach dropped. Whenever Dad said something was important, it was never good. It meant bad grades, broken rules, something I'd messed up. Am I in trouble? No. We just need to talk. Be home right after school, don't stop anywhere. Okay. I went to school, but there was no way I could focus. All day, I kept replaying their words, trying to figure out what I'd done, what was wrong, what was coming. I walked home at 3:15, my stomach twisted up, nerves shot. You know that feeling when you can sense something bad on the horizon but you don't know what it is? That was me. I opened the front door and just stopped. Suitcases, boxes, stacks of moving supplies everywhere. The living room was half-packed, pictures missing from the walls, books sealed in boxes. Our house was coming apart piece by piece. Mom and Dad were talking quietly in the kitchen. When they saw me, they fell silent. I barely got the words out. What's going on? Already suspecting, already dreading, but not wanting to believe it. Mom looked at Dad, Dad looked at me. We're moving, Dad said. Where? Arizona. Phoenix. I got a new job. Better opportunity. More money. We need a fresh start. Okay. When do we leave? Do I need to pack? That's when Mom said it. Daniel, you're not coming with us. Time stopped. What? We're moving, Dad said again, but you're staying here in Spokane. What? Because we can't take you with us. We've made arrangements. Your Uncle James is coming to get you tonight. He'll take care of you. He lives in Seattle. Good schools there. Better than Spokane. You'll like it. I just stood there, backpack still on my shoulders, brain scrambling to fit the words together into something that made sense. I don't understand. Why can't I come? Dad let out this heavy sigh, the kind that meant he hated this conversation. Because we're starting over, Catherine and I. We're starting fresh and we can't do that with you. Did I do something wrong? No. You didn't do anything wrong. We can't be parents anymore. We're not good at it. We're not happy. We need to live our own lives now. What about my life? James will take care of you. He doesn't have kids. He's got money. He's successful. He'll give you opportunities we can't. This is better for everyone. It's not better for me. Mom stepped closer. Daniel, please don't make this harder than it is. We've made our decision. James agreed to take you. You'll be fine. I don't want to live with Uncle James. I want to live with you. I'm your son. You'll always be our son, Mom said, but her voice was flat, rehearsed, like she'd practiced it in the mirror and now she was just repeating lines. Then why are you leaving me? They didn't answer. They just looked at each other. Then Dad broke the silence. Pack your things. Just clothes and personal items. Everything else stays here. James will be here at 7 o'clock. Be ready. Can I at least say goodbye to my friends? My teachers? No, Mom interrupted. Clean break. That's better. Trust us. Trust them. They were leaving me and asking me to trust them. I went upstairs, sat on my bed and just stared at my room, the posters, the books, all the pieces of 13 years that were about to get erased. Downstairs, I could hear them moving, packing, getting ready to leave without me. At 6:30, a car door slammed. Voices. Uncle James had arrived early. I went down with my backpack, the same one I'd carried to school that morning. I'd packed one change of clothes, some underwear, my toothbrush, a book. That's it. Couldn't bring myself to do more. Packing like it was permanent made it real and I wasn't ready for that. Uncle James stood in the living room. He was 46, tall, a little gray at the temples, wearing an expensive suit even though it was evening. He looked put together, successful. Nothing like Dad, who was his younger brother but somehow looked older. He saw me and something flickered across his face, anger maybe, gone in a second, replaced by a calm, professional look. Hey Daniel, he said gentle. Hi Uncle James. He turned to Dad. David, can we talk privately? They went into Dad's study. I heard voices rising. Uncle James was angry. How could you do this to him? He's 13. He's your son. Dad was defensive. You don't understand. We tried. We can't do it anymore. Then get help. Go to therapy. Figure it out. You don't just abandon your kid. We're not abandoning him. We're giving him to someone who can actually take care of him. That's abandonment with extra steps. More arguing than silence. They came out. Dad looked pissed. Uncle James just looked disgusted. Daniel, Uncle James said, why don't you grab your things? Let's get going. That's all I have, I said, pointing to my backpack. He stared at me, then at my parents. That's all you're letting him take? He can pack more, Mom said. We just thought. You thought wrong? Daniel, go get everything you want. Everything that matters. We're not leaving anything behind. I went upstairs and started packing for real. Books, clothes, my sketch pad, my favorite blanket, my old stuffed dog I'd had since I was 5. I was embarrassed to still have it, but I couldn't leave it. Uncle James came up, helped me pack, didn't judge. Didn't make me feel childish for holding on to what mattered. We packed up 3 duffel bags, lugged them down the stairs and stuffed them into his car, a sleek black Mercedes that reeked of leather and success. My parents hovered by the door, looking like they couldn't wait for it all to be over. Mom gave me a quick, awkward hug. Stiff as a board. Be good, Daniel. Listen to Uncle James. He's doing us all a favor. Dad patted my shoulder. You'll be fine. This is for the best. Uncle James didn't say goodbye to them. He just slid into the driver's seat, started the engine and waited for me. I climbed in and looked back at the house. My parents stood in the doorway waving. They smiled, relieved mostly. Like a weight had finally lifted. And that was it. We drove off. 3 hours to Seattle. 3 hours of silence. I sat there trying not to cry, trying to make sense of what just happened, wondering what I'd done to deserve any of this. Finally, Uncle James broke the silence. You doing okay? No, yeah. Me neither. Did you know they were going to do this? No. David called me this afternoon, 3 hours ago. Said he and Catherine were moving to Arizona. Said they couldn't take you. Asked if I'd take you in. I said sure. Drove straight here. Why? Why'd you say yes? He kept his eyes on the road. Because you're my nephew. Because you're 13, and you deserve better than parents who walk away. Because I wasn't about to let you end up in the system if I could help it. And because David's my brother, but he's also an idiot who doesn't deserve you. I stared out the window. Maybe I'm the problem. Maybe I'm just too much. He pulled over and turned to me. Daniel, listen. You are not the problem. You did nothing wrong. Your parents are the problem. They're selfish and immature. They don't know how to put someone else first. That's on them. Never you. I looked down at my hands. Then why did they leave me? He sighed. Because they're broken. And broken people do broken things. But their choices don't say anything about your worth. Got it? I nodded, though I didn't believe a word. We finished the drive in silence. We got to his place around 10 at night. I felt wrecked. Empty. His house was massive. 5 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, an indoor pool, a gym, a home theater. The kind of place you see in magazines about rich people. Pick any bedroom you want, he said, except the master suite. That one's mine. The rest are yours. I walked around, checking out rooms with king beds and private bathrooms, guest rooms that made my parents' old bedroom look sad. I picked the smallest one at the back of the house. It looked out over the garden. Single bed, little desk. It felt safer, less overwhelming. You sure? Uncle James asked. You can have one of the bigger ones. This is fine. All right. Bathrooms next door, towels in the closet. Take a shower if you want. I'll make up the bed. I showered. The water was hot, good pressure. Fancy soaps, cedar and mint. I stood there letting myself cry, quiet so he wouldn't hear. When I came out, the bed was made. My old stuffed dog sat on the pillow. My books on the nightstand. My clothes hanging in the closet. He'd unpacked for me. Made it feel like maybe I could stay. Thank you, I said. You're welcome. You hungry? I can make you something. No, just tired. All right. My room's down the hall. If you need anything, I'll hear you. I'm a light sleeper. He paused. Daniel, I'm glad you're here. I know it doesn't feel good right now. I know this feels awful and scary and wrong, but I'm glad. I want to know you. I want to be part of your life. I nodded. Couldn't speak. My throat was too tight. He closed the door behind him. I got in bed and stared at the ceiling in this strange house in a new city with a man I barely knew. Everything I knew was gone. I didn't sleep. I just listened to the new sounds, trying to figure out what my life had turned into. The next morning, Uncle James made breakfast. Pancakes, bacon, real orange juice. Actual food, not cereal or Pop-Tarts grabbed on the way out. We need to talk about school, he said, flipping a pancake. I can get you enrolled here. Good schools. Or if you want a few days to settle in, that's fine too. I want to go to school, I said. I don't want to just sit here thinking. Okay. I'll call the district office this morning. Get you set up. You'll probably start next week. Gives us time to settle in, get supplies, maybe a new backpack. I have a backpack. He grinned. Yeah, but yours is barely holding together. Let me get you a new one. Some new clothes too. Whatever you need. I don't want to be expensive. He put down his fork and looked at me. Daniel, this isn't some favor I'm doing for you. I'm not looking after you because I have to. You're not a burden. You're family, and that's what family does. We show up for each other. I have more money than I know what to do with, and honestly, I'd rather spend it on you than anything else. So let me help. Let me give you what you need. Forget about the cost. And he meant it. Over the next few weeks, he did exactly what he promised. He took care of me. He got me enrolled at Emerson Middle School. It was a good school, a real upgrade from my old one. Smaller classes, better teachers, more resources. He took me shopping and bought me clothes that actually fit for once. Shoes that weren't falling apart. A new backpack, one without holes. He got me all the school supplies I needed, plus art supplies, just because he noticed I liked to draw. He set me up with a therapist too. Dr. Sarah Matthews, 50, kind eyes, a gentle voice. She specialized in kids like me, the ones who'd been through abandonment and trauma. You don't have to talk if you don't want to, Uncle James told me when he explained about the therapy. But I think it might help with what your parents did. That's not normal and it's not okay. Talking to someone about it could be good. So I went. Every Tuesday at 4 for 3 years. Dr. Matthews helped me untangle the mess my parents left behind. She helped me see that what they did wasn't about me. That their failure to love me didn't make me unlovable. That I could build something new no matter what they'd done. She helped with the nightmares, the ones where I came home to an empty house, where everyone had left, where I kept getting abandoned over and over. She helped with the anxiety too. That constant fear that Uncle James would get tired of me, that he'd decide I was too much and send me away. Has he ever given you a reason to think that? She asked. No. Has he been consistent? Yes. Does he show up for you every day? I nodded. Then trust that. Trust his actions, not your fear. It took time, months, years, but slowly I learned to trust. I started to believe maybe I could have a home. Maybe someone could stay. Uncle James made it easy. He was steady. He came to every parent-teacher conference, sat there with his notebook while the teachers talked about how I was doing. He asked questions, made sure I got help when I needed it. He showed up for every school event, every orchestra concert where I played violin in the back row, every art show where my drawings hung on the wall, every science fair, even when my projects were nothing special. Other kids had 2 parents in the crowd. I had Uncle James and that was enough. He helped me with my homework every night. Sat at the kitchen table with me, not doing the work for me, just being there, answering questions, helping me figure things out. He taught me how to study, how to organize my time, how to break goals into smaller steps. Stuff my parents never bothered to teach me. He taught me about money, how to budget, how to save, how to understand what things are worth. Not because he wanted me to pinch pennies, but because he wanted me to be smart, to see that money's just a tool, not the point of life. One night when I was 15, we were eating dinner, just a regular Tuesday, and he said, I've got a lot of money, more than most people will ever have. But money doesn't make you happy. It just makes life easier. What makes you happy is having purpose, building something, helping people, knowing you matter. Don't forget that. I remembered that. When I was 16, I finally asked him about my parents. First time in 3 years. Have you heard from them? He stopped, fork halfway to his mouth. No. Not since the day they left you. Have you tried to contact them? I told him I had, a few times at the beginning. I called David, left messages, sent emails, asked if he wanted updates about me, if he wanted to know how I was doing. What did he say? Nothing. He never responded. Do you think they regret leaving me? I asked. He set his fork down and looked at me. I don't know. And honestly, it doesn't matter. It matters to me. Why? Because if they regret it, that means they loved me. And if they loved me, maybe I wasn't the problem. Daniel, you were never the problem. Whether they regret it or not, it doesn't change anything. They left because they couldn't see your worth, not because it wasn't there. But what if I was too much? Or too quiet? Or too weird? Or, stop. You're spiraling. This is what Dr. Matthews calls catastrophizing. You're taking their failure and wearing it like it's your fault. Don't do that. Then tell me something. Something that makes this make sense. He sighed, thinking hard. Your dad was my little brother, 3 years younger than me. Growing up, he always struggled. With school, with friends, with everything people expected of him. Our dad, your grandfather, was tough on both of us, but especially on David. Nothing David did ever seemed good enough. He took all that in, really believed he was a failure, and spent his whole life trying to prove otherwise. Where do I fit in? Well, to David, you were just more proof he'd messed up. You were the reminder that he couldn't get it right, couldn't be the parent he was supposed to be. And instead of facing that, instead of stepping up, he bailed. He left you behind because seeing you meant facing himself. That's pretty messed up. Yeah, it is. But you need to know, it's not about you. It's about him. His issues, his inability to act like a grown-up. You just got caught in the crossfire. It still hurts though. Of course it does. But maybe knowing it was always his choice, his problem, not yours, takes away just a little sting. For me it helped. Enough to keep going, to keep building something better. High school got easier. I made friends, joined the art club, took AP classes, and pulled in grades I could actually be proud of. Not straight A's, but good. Good enough for me. Uncle James never missed a thing. Every art show, every award night, every college fair, he showed up. When I got into UW's architecture program, he threw me a party. Just a handful of close friends, nothing flashy, but he baked a cake, hung up decorations, and gave a speech about how proud he was. He said, You're going to do amazing things. I know it. You're talented, hardworking, resilient. You've overcome more in 5 years than some people do in a lifetime. I'm so proud of you. I cried in front of everyone. Didn't care. For once, someone was proud of me. Someone noticed my wins and celebrated. Someone loved me and wasn't afraid to show it. College changed me. I studied architecture, learned how to design real spaces, how to make buildings where people could actually live and work and feel like they belonged. Uncle James covered it all: tuition, housing, books, meals, everything. He never complained, never made me feel like a burden. He just said, focus on your work. Don't worry about money. This is an investment in you, and it's the best investment I'll ever make. So I worked hard. I landed internships, built a portfolio, graduated with distinction, and got hired at Morrison & Associates 2 weeks later. Uncle James came to graduation with flowers, took a ton of photos, grinning like I just won a Nobel Prize. Your parents have no idea what they missed, he said. But their loss is my gain. I'm grateful every day I got to be part of your life. I told him, you didn't just get to be part of it. You made it possible. Everything I am is because of you. He shook his head. No, everything you are is because of you. I just gave you chances. You did the work. Own that. I did. I built a career, made a name for myself. People started to know me as a young architect with fresh ideas and real technical chops. Uncle James watched every step. He showed up for every promotion, every project, every milestone. He never missed a thing. He was the dad I should have had all along. Every Wednesday we'd have dinner, sometimes at his place, sometimes mine, sometimes out. We talked about work, about life, everything and nothing. He'd ask about my job, my friends, even my love life. Not nosy, just genuinely interested. I'd ask about his company, Cooper Industries, the manufacturing business he'd built from scratch. He'd tell me about contracts, new buildings, employees. Made me feel like an equal, like my opinion mattered. One night, I was 26, we were at his favorite Italian place. He asked, ever think about joining the company? I laughed. I'm an architect. I like what I do. He nodded. You're good at it. But you're also my heir. Sooner or later, Cooper Industries will be yours, whether you want it or not. I said, I don't know the first thing about manufacturing. He smiled. You could learn. Or just oversee it, let others run the day-to-day. You be the owner, make the big calls. I said, let me think about it. He shrugged. Take your time. No pressure. I just want you to know you have options. 2 years later, he had his heart attack. It was a Tuesday morning, October 8th. He'd just finished a meeting at the office, stood up and collapsed. Massive heart attack. Dead before the ambulance even reached him. He was 68. Too young, too fast, too unfair. I was at work in a meeting when my phone rang. Hospital number. I almost let it go, but something made me answer. Is this Daniel Cooper? Yes. This is Swedish Hospital. You're listed as the emergency contact for James Cooper. I'm so sorry he didn't survive. He passed away before arrival. The world just stopped. I heard the words. I got what they meant, in my head at least, but my heart just wouldn't register any of it. What? I'm so sorry. Mr. Cooper suffered a massive heart attack. There was nothing we could do. I need to come. I need to see him. Of course. When you get here, just ask for the emergency department. Someone will bring you to him. I drove to the hospital in a daze, parked somewhere, walked through those automatic doors, found the emergency department, told them who I was. They led me to a small, private room, the kind of room they save for the worst news and last goodbyes. Would you like to see him? The nurse asked, gentle voice, practiced sympathy. Yes. She brought me to another room. He lay there on the bed, covered with a white sheet, looking peaceful, almost like he was just sleeping. I sat by his side, took his hand. Still warm, familiar, but somehow empty. The spark that made him Uncle James was gone. I sat there for 2 hours. Held his hand, talked to him, said everything I had to say. Thank you for taking me in. For raising me. For loving me. For showing me what a real father looks like. For giving me chances I never would have had. For believing in me when my parents didn't. For being there. Always being there. I love you. I love you. I love you. I'm sorry. Sorry I didn't visit more. Sorry I got wrapped up in work. Sorry I took you for granted. Sorry I didn't say enough how much you meant. I'm going to miss you every single day. I'm going to miss you. Eventually I had to leave. You can't stay in that room forever, no matter how much you want to. Life keeps moving. I drove home, sat in my apartment, the one he paid for, surrounded by furniture he helped me pick out, living a life he made possible. tried to figure out how to exist in a world without Uncle James. The funeral was the next Friday. He'd already planned everything: where, when, who to call, what kind of service, what music, every detail, because even in death he was organized. I handled the calls, sent the messages, set up the service. Did it all on autopilot, just moving through the steps because that's what people do. The service was at Grace Episcopal Church. His church. The one he went to every Sunday, the one he took me to until I was old enough to decide for myself. 50 people came. His staff, business partners, yacht club friends, golf buddies, neighbors. People who loved him. People who respected him. People who were just going to miss him. I gave the eulogy. Stood up there, looked out at everyone, and talked about the man who saved my life. James Cooper was a lot of things, I said. Successful businessman. Generous donor. Loyal friend. But to me he was something else entirely. He was my father. Not by blood or law, but by choice. By showing up every single day for 15 years. My voice cracked. I paused, pulled myself together, kept going. When I was 13, my parents abandoned me. Left me on a porch with a note and drove away. And James, Uncle James, drove 3 hours to get me. Took me home. Made me feel safe. Then he spent the next 15 years proving that their failure to love me wasn't about me. It was about them. People cried. I saw tissues, people dabbing at their eyes, but I kept talking. He paid for everything: school, therapy, college, my apartment. All of it. Never used it against me. Never made me feel like I owed him. He just gave because that's who he was. Someone who helped because he could. Because it was right. Because he loved me. I stopped, glanced down at my notes, looked back up. He taught me that family isn't about blood. It's about choosing to show up. It's being there, especially when it's hard. Loving someone at their worst, celebrating them at their best. He did that. Every day. And I'm only here today, successful, stable, capable, because he believed in me when no one else did. I had to stop again just to keep from losing it. I'm going to miss him every single day. I'm going to miss our Wednesday dinners. His advice. His laugh. The way he made me feel seen, like I mattered, like I was worth it. Final pause. One last thing. James Cooper saved my life. Not just by taking me in, but by loving me. By showing me I was worth loving. By proving that one person can change everything. Can give someone a future they never imagined. Can build a legacy that goes beyond money or success. A legacy of love, of being present, of showing up. I stepped down, let someone else speak. After the service, people came up to me, shared their condolences, told stories about James, his generosity, his wisdom, his kindness. Everyone had a story about James. Somehow he'd left a mark on everyone in the room. This man in the expensive 70s suit walked up. Richard Chun, James's attorney. I'd seen his photo before. "Daniel, I'm so sorry for your loss. James talked about you all the time. He was so proud of you." I nodded. "Thank you. I needed to get the will reading on the calendar. Can we schedule that?" "Yes, standard procedure. Are you free Thursday afternoon?" "That's 3 days from now." "I can do that." "Good." 2 o'clock, my office downtown. "I'll email you the address." "Will anyone else be there?" "Yes. A few other people named in the will." "I'll let them know." "Who?" He paused. Something in his eyes, the way he picked his words. "I can't say yet, but they're beneficiaries. They have a right to be there." I just nodded. "Okay. Thursday at 2. I'll be there." He left. I stayed, shaking hands, getting more condolences, playing the part of grieving son. And I was grieving, but not the way people thought. Thursday came, October 17th. 3 days since the funeral, 10 since James died. Time felt weird, like it stretched and snapped back all at once. I took the afternoon off, told my boss I had estate business. He was understanding. Told me to take as much time as I needed. I wore a dark blue suit, white shirt, black tie. The kind of thing you wear to serious events. Things that shift your life. Drove downtown, found Chun's office on the 19th floor of a shiny glass tower, corner suite, everything top shelf. The type of law firm that charged $800 an hour and probably deserved it. The receptionist greeted me with a polished smile, all professional sympathy. "Mr. Cooper. Mr. Chun is expecting you. Conference room 8, last door on the right." The hallway was thick carpet, original art on the walls, smelled like old money and big winds. I found the conference room, huge, with a long mahogany table, leather chairs, floor-to-ceiling windows looking out over Elliott Bay and the Olympics. I sat and waited. 5 minutes later, the door opened. My parents walked in. 15 years. That's how long it had been since I'd seen them. 15 years of silence, of wondering if they ever thought about me. Now here they were walking into the will reading like they belonged. Dad looked older, gray hair heavier, deep lines around his eyes and mouth. Cheap suit, off the rack, didn't fit right. Mom looked thinner than I remembered, face pulled tight, too much Botox. Black dress, pearl necklace, trying for elegance, but it just looked desperate. They stopped when they saw me. Stare. Daniel, Dad said. His voice wobbled like he wasn't sure it was really me. I just stared back, taking them in. Strangers, but somehow still my parents. Oh my God, Mom said. Look at you. You're all grown up. So handsome. You look just like your father. Still I said nothing. I honestly didn't know what to say to people who'd left me behind and now acted like we'd spoken last week. They moved to the table, sitting across from me, not next to me. Maybe they were scared I'd bite. Mom tried to smile, the nervous kind. How have you been? It's been so long. Fine. You look good. Really good. James must have taken good care of you. He did. That's wonderful. We're so glad he was there for you. We knew he would be. That's why we thought it was best. Best. That word just hung there. Best for who? Not me. For them. Why are you here? I asked. Dad jumped in. For the will reading. James's lawyer called. Said we were named in the will. Said we needed to be here. You haven't spoken to him in 15 years. Why would he name you in his will? He was my brother. Dad's tone grew defensive. I remembered that from when I was a kid. Of course he'd name me. We're family. Are you? I shot back. Because usually family doesn't abandon each other and disappear for 15 years. Mom flinched. Dad looked away. We didn't abandon you, Mom said, her voice tight, rehearsed, like she'd practiced it in the mirror. We made arrangements. We made sure you were taken care of. We gave you to someone who could provide for you better than we could. You left me on a porch with a note. That's abandonment. We did what we thought was best at the time. We were struggling. We weren't good parents. We knew James could give you a better life. And he did. Look at you. You turned out great. No thanks to you. Daniel, please, Dad said. We don't want to fight. We're here for the same reason you are. Let's just get through this, okay? Before I could say anything, the door swung open. Richard Chin walked in, briefcase in hand, face set in that unreadable, businesslike way of his. He spotted my parents' jaw tightening just a little, so quick you'd miss it if you weren't looking. David, Catherine. Thanks for coming, Richard, Dad said, standing up and sticking out his hand. Good to see you. Been a long time. Yeah, Richard said. He didn't shake Dad's hand. Just gave this curt nod. 15 years. The words just hung there. 15 years since my parents abandoned me. Since they cut me off and pretended I didn't exist. Richard took the seat at the head of the table. Opened his briefcase, pulled out a thick file and set it down with a thud. Let's begin, he said. We're here for the reading of James Edward Cooper's last will and testament. Before we start, I need to confirm everyone's identity for the record. He looked my way. Daniel Cooper? Yes. He turned to my parents. David Cooper and Catherine Cooper? Yes. They chimed in almost in unison. Too eager. Good. Now, some preliminary info. James updated this will 2 years ago, September 15th. He was of sound mind, 3 separate doctors confirmed it. Everything in this document is exactly what he wanted. If you've got questions about the will's validity, save them for the end. I'll just tell you now, this will is ironclad. Reviewed by multiple lawyers. It's legal, it's binding. He flipped open the file and pulled out the will itself. It looked official, pages, signatures, notary stamps, all that. I'm going to read the relevant parts, Richard said. There's a lot of legal stuff about taxes and executor duties, but unless someone really wants to hear it, I'll skip ahead. Nobody said a word. My parents just leaned in, hands clenched together on the table, eyes locked on the document. You could almost see the dollar signs in their eyes. They were here for money. After 15 years of silence, they showed up for James's will. They wanted their cut from the man they'd ignored while pretending I didn't exist. Richard cleared his throat and started reading. I, James Edward Cooper, being of sound mind and body, do hereby declare this to be my last will and testament, hereby revoking all previous wills and codicils. The usual legal stuff. He moved through it fast. First, I appoint Daniel Cooper as the primary executor of this will, with Richard Chin as co-executor. If Daniel can't or won't serve, my parents shifted in their seats, looking uncomfortable. They probably thought Dad should have been the executor. The blood relative. Second, I make the following specific bequests. Here it comes. Now we'd find out who got what. Richard kept reading. To my housekeeper and friend, Margaret Williams, who has worked for me faithfully for 20 years, I leave the sum of $50,000 and my eternal gratitude for her dedicated service. Margaret wasn't there. Richard would tell her later. To Seattle Children's Hospital, I leave the sum of $5 million to be used specifically for pediatric cancer research and treatment. No shock there. James donated to that hospital every year even before I lived with him. To the University of Washington Architecture Department, I leave $2 million to fund scholarships for students who have overcome significant adversity in their lives. My throat tightened. That was for kids like me. Kids who'd drawn the short straw but tried to build something anyway. Kids who needed someone to believe in them the way James believed in me. To the Seattle YMCA, I leave $1 million to fund programs for at-risk youth. More help for others. That was James to the core. Richard paused and looked up, eyes moving from my parents to me and back to the document. And then he slowed down, almost savoring it. And now, the primary bequest. My parents sat up even straighter, practically falling out of their chairs. Mom's hands were shaking. Dad looked like he'd stopped breathing. This was it. The big reveal. The money they thought they'd get. Richard locked eyes with them. Then he read, word for word, to my brother David Cooper and his wife Catherine Cooper, who abandoned their son Daniel at my doorstep 15 years ago with nothing but a note saying they couldn't do this anymore, I leave the sum of $1 each. Silence. It just dropped, heavy, final. My parents' faces went white, all the color draining out at once. Mom's mouth opened and closed again and again, like a fish out of water. No sound. Dad just stared at Richard, stunned. What? He finally managed. I'm reading exactly what James wrote. $1. He's leaving you each $1. That's impossible. We're his family. We're his blood. He absolutely can. And he did. Richard went on reading. His voice didn't waver. Not even a little. I leave them $1 each, and the knowledge that the boy they threw away became the man I'm proud to call my son. Those words landed like punches. I saw my parents flinch. I watched them take it in, watched 15 years of abandonment come roaring back in a single sentence. Richard kept going. I want David and Catherine to understand this isn't about punishment. It's about consequences. They made a choice 15 years ago. They chose their own needs over their sons. They left a 13-year-old kid who needed them. They let someone else do the hard work of parenting. That choice had consequences. Mom made a sound, a little whimper like she'd just been struck. Richard didn't stop. The consequence is that Daniel became my son. Not just in my heart but in every way that counted. I raised him. Supported him. Loved him. I showed up for him every day for 15 years. Now he's an incredible man. Kind, talented, resilient, a credit to himself, not to the people who abandoned him. Dad's face turned red. Angry red, humiliated red. This is, understand. We're going to contest this. We're going to, please let me finish, Richard snapped, voice sharp. Then you can talk. He went back to the will. The consequence is that David and Catherine don't get to benefit from the man Daniel became. They threw him away. I picked him up. Now he gets everything. Not to punish them, but because he earned it. Every single day for 15 years he earned it. And they didn't. They lost their right to benefit from him the day they left him on that porch. Richard paused, let it sit. Then he kept going. To my nephew by blood, but my son in every way that matters, Daniel Cooper, I leave the remainder of my estate. My heart stopped. This includes all financial assets, currently valued at around $47 million. The room spun. $47 million. My primary residence at 847 Lakeview Drive, Seattle, Washington, valued at about $4.2 million. His house. The house I'd lived in for 15 years. My vacation property on San Juan Island, Washington, valued at around $1.8 million. The beach house where we spent summers where he taught me to sail. My commercial properties, 4 office buildings, 2 mixed-use developments, valued at about $12 million. Real estate, investments, everything he'd built over decades. All shares and ownership in Cooper Industries, including full control of the board and all operational decisions. The company. His company. Everything. All personal effects. Artwork, vehicles, jewelry, anything of personal significance. Everything. Richard set down the page, pulled out another, handwritten, James's writing. I recognized it right away. James wrote a personal message to Daniel, Richard said. He asked that I read it aloud at the will reading. Daniel, if you'd prefer I not read this publicly, I can give it to you privately. Read it, I said. My voice barely above a whisper. Please. Richard cleared his throat and started. It almost sounded like James was in the room. Daniel, if you're hearing this, I'm gone. I'm sorry I'm not there to say this in person, but I wanted to make sure you knew a few things. My eyes burned. I tried to keep it together. Raising you was never a burden. Not an obligation. Not something I did out of duty to my brother. Raising you was the greatest privilege of my life. You gave me purpose. You gave me joy. You gave me a reason to be better. You made me want to be the kind of man who deserved to call you my son. A tear slid down my cheek. I didn't wipe it away. I know you've struggled with what your parents did. I know you've spent years wondering if you were the problem, if you were too much or not enough or just wrong somehow. You need to hear this. You were never the problem. You were perfect. You are perfect exactly as you are. Their failure to see that was always about them, never about you. More tears. I couldn't stop them. I'm leaving you everything because you earned it. Not through big gestures or huge accomplishments, though you've had plenty, but through the small moments. By showing up. By working hard. By being kind even when others weren't. By building a life in spite of everything that tried to get in your way. Richard's voice was thick now, like he was fighting not to cry himself. I'm leaving you everything because I trust you. I'm trusting you with this. Not just the money but the whole thing, helping people, making something good out of your life, building something that actually matters. I want you to be okay without me too. I raised you to stand on your own 2 feet, to be strong, to know your own worth without anyone else telling you. I was crying then. Didn't care at all. I just needed you to know I love you. I loved you from the first second I picked you up off that porch. Through the nightmares, the therapy, all the questions about why your parents left. I loved you through middle school, through high school, through college. I loved you every single step, good or bad. And I'll still love you wherever I am, because love doesn't just switch off when life does. Richard paused. Last paragraph. David and Catherine, if you're listening, and let's be honest, of course you are, you heard there was money involved, I want to clear something up. I didn't leave you $1 to be mean. I left you $1 so you'd know I didn't forget you. I remembered exactly what you did. I remembered how you treated your son. And I made a choice. You get nothing because you deserve nothing. You had 15 years to reach out, to apologize, to try to make things right with the kid you left behind. You did nothing. So now you get nothing. That's not cruelty. That's justice. Richard set the paper down. The room went dead quiet except for my breathing and Mom's soft crying. That concludes the primary bequests, Richard said. There are a few smaller gifts to employees and charities, but only Daniel needs to worry about those. Dad shot up, pounding the table. This is Underfenders. He can't do this. We're his family. We're his blood. We have rights. You have no rights, Richard replied, cool as anything. Like he'd been waiting for this meltdown. James left you what he wanted to leave you, $1 each. That's his legal right. The will is valid. It's witnessed, notarized. It's airtight. We'll fight it. Dad yelled. We'll prove he wasn't in his right mind. On what grounds? Richard said. He was assessed by 3 doctors when he updated this will. All of them confirmed he was sound in mind and body. All of them signed sworn statements. I've got copies if you want. He was influenced, Dad said, grasping at anything. Daniel manipulated him. Richard actually laughed. A cold laugh, no warmth in it. Daniel was 26, living on his own, working his own job, doing his own thing. He didn't even know James was changing the will, not until today. So that theory's out. Then James was coerced. Someone forced him to do this. By who? Richard shot back. He worked with me, his lawyer of 40 years, his financial advisor, his doctors. All of them independent. All of them professional. All of them agreed this is what he wanted. You have nothing. Mom's voice cracked. Tears streamed down her face. We need that money. We have debts. Expenses. We're struggling. We can't live on $1. That's not Daniel's problem, Richard said. He's our son. He owes us something. He owes you nothing. Less than nothing. We raised him for 13 years, Dad tried. 13 years of food and shelter and clothing, and Richard cut him off. You don't get points for 13 years of basic parenting followed by 15 years of nothing. That's not how it works. Mom turned to me. Real desperation in her eyes now. Not the fake practice tears. Daniel, please. You get it, right? We made a mistake. We were young. We were struggling. We didn't know what else to do. But we're your parents. We're family. You have to help us. I looked at her, really looked at her. This woman who gave birth to me but never really bothered to know me. Someone who left when things got hard and showed up now when there was money at stake. No, I said. You're not my family. James was my family. He's the one who raised me. He's the one who loved me. He showed up every single day for 15 years. You're just people who used to live with me, until you decided I was too much trouble. That's not fair. Fair? I said. You want to talk about fair? Was it fair to leave a 13-year-old on a porch? Was it fair to never call, never write, never check to see if I was okay? Was it fair to show up for a will reading expecting money from a man you ignored for 15 years? We didn't know he was going to leave you everything. You just thought you'd get something. That's why you're here. Not because you loved James. Not because you cared. You came because you heard will reading and saw dollar signs. Dad took a step forward. Daniel, come on. Be reasonable. We're your parents. Blood's blood. Family's family. I shook my head. You stopped being my family the day you walked out. You don't get to show up now just because there's money on the table. We can fix this, Dad said. We can rebuild. Start over. It's not too late. It's been too late for 15 years, I said. You had all that time to call, to apologize, to even check if I was still alive. You did nothing. You decided to start fresh without me. That was your choice. Choices have consequences. Mom's voice was shaky. What about forgiveness? Don't we deserve a second chance? You want forgiveness? Earn it. Show up. Do the work. Prove with your actions, not just your words, that you've changed. Don't expect it to happen because you ask, and don't expect it to happen fast. You hurt me. You left scars. I spent years in therapy trying to figure out why I wasn't enough for my own parents. That doesn't go away just because you're sorry now. We are sorry, Mom said, tears in her eyes. We regret it. We regret leaving you. We wish we'd done it differently. Good. You should regret it. You should carry that for the rest of your lives because what you did was abandonment. And the consequences, you lost me, and you lost any right to James's estate. $1 each. That's all you get. That's what you're worth. The words came out rough, maybe even cruel, but I meant them. Dad's face went from red to almost purple. We're going to fight this, he said. We'll contest the will. We'll get what we deserve. You already did, I said. $1 each. That's exactly what James thought you were worth. They stormed out, slamming the door, leaving me alone with Richard. The silence stretched out for a while. Finally, Richard broke it. That was brutal. I'm sorry you had to do that. Was it true? I asked. Everything James wrote, everything he said about me, did he really mean it? He meant every word. He was so proud of you, Daniel. He talked about you all the time. Every meeting, every conversation, he'd bring you up, what you were working on, what you'd accomplished, how proud he was. He never missed a chance. When did he decide to leave me everything? 2 years ago, right after your college graduation. He called me up, made an appointment, came in and said he needed to update his will. He wanted to make sure you were taken care of. He wanted David and Catherine to know exactly where they stood. Did he hate them? No. He pitied them. He never understood how anyone could just walk away from you. How they could be so blind to what they had. He used to say their loss was his gain. I swallowed. I miss him. I know. And I know it's a lot. $47 million, properties, a business, it's overwhelming. I don't want the money. I just want him back. I know. But you can't have him back. What you do have is his legacy. You can keep building on what he started. Help people the way he helped you. Make something good out of what he left behind. So what now? Now, we execute the will. I'll file it with the court, transfer the assets to your name, handle taxes, settle accounts. It'll take a few months, but when it's done, everything's yours. And my parents? Will they actually contest? They'll try. They'll lose, but they'll try. People do stupid things for money. How much will it cost them? Probably $50,000 to $100,000 in legal fees, maybe more if they drag it out. They don't have that kind of money. That's why they're here. So they'll go into debt. Max out credit cards. Borrow from anyone who'll lend to them. And they'll lose anyway because this will is airtight. James made sure of it. Why was he so careful? He knew they'd contest. He told me, Richard, David's going to fight this. He'll say I wasn't competent or that someone pressured me. Make it bulletproof. So I did. Medical evaluations, witness statements, documentation. Everything. They have no case. Good. Richard stood up. I'll be in touch. For now, don't talk to them. Don't answer their calls, texts, emails. Let me handle it. Okay. And Daniel, James was right. You earned this. Don't let them make you feel guilty. Don't let them make you question yourself. You earned every bit of this estate because you showed up, because you loved him, because you were his son in every way that mattered. The days that followed felt surreal. I went to work, came home, sat in my apartment, and tried to wrap my head around the fact that my entire life had just changed. $47 million. I couldn't even picture that kind of money. I mean, what would I even do with it? My mind just kind of shut down at the idea. But honestly, it wasn't really about the money. It was about what it meant. James loved me. He believed in me. Even when he knew he wouldn't be around, he wanted to make sure I was taken care of. Then my parents started blowing up my phone the day after the will reading. Text from my dad. Daniel, we need to talk. This is family business. We should handle it as family. From my mom, please call us. We love you. We want to work this out. Then the tone shifted. More texts. You're being unreasonable. We're your parents, you owe us respect. And then the real point, the money should stay in the family. Blood relatives. That's how it's supposed to work. I blocked their numbers. I didn't respond, didn't engage. They started sending emails, long ones, going on about how they knew they'd made mistakes, how they wanted to make amends. Daniel, we know we hurt you, but we're trying. First step is forgiveness, then we can move forward together as a family. I didn't even read them. Just deleted them. Then they showed up at my apartment. Thursday night, 1 week after the will reading. Building security called me. Mr. Cooper, your parents are here asking to come up. Should I let them? No. Please ask them to leave. They're insisting. Tell them I'm not available. If they don't leave, call the police. They left, but they came back. Again and again. Security got used to seeing them and started turning them away automatically. 2 weeks after the will reading, Richard called. Daniel, I need to tell you something. Okay. Your parents hired a lawyer. They're contesting the will. Of course they are, I thought. Richard went on. They're saying James was coerced. That you manipulated him, used your position as his caregiver to influence him. I wasn't his caregiver. I was his nephew. I had my own place, my own job, my own life. I know, Richard said. And I've already filed our response. We've got mountains of evidence. James was of sound mind. He made his decision independently. No one influenced him. But you should know, this is going to drag out. It's going to get ugly. They're going to accuse you of being greedy, of manipulating James. Let them. Anyone who knows me knows that's not true. Good, Richard said. Keep that attitude. Don't engage. Don't defend yourself publicly. Just let the legal process do its thing. The legal battle dragged on for 3 months. My parents' lawyer threw everything at us. Motions, depositions, demands for financial records. They tried every trick to prove James was incompetent or influenced. Nothing worked. The medical records were clear. 3 separate doctors, all independent, all said James was mentally sharp. No sign of dementia, no cognitive decline, no evidence of manipulation. The witnesses all told the same story. James was sharp, independent, and made his own decisions. He loved me like a son. The paper trail was impossible to ignore. James kept detailed journals, wrote notes about why he wanted to update the will, left a record of every step. He made it clear this was what he wanted. Eventually, my parents' lawyer called Richard and asked if we'd settle. Settle for what? Richard asked. I was in his office listening on speaker. $10 million. They'll drop the lawsuit if Daniel gives them $10 million. Richard looked at me. I shook my head. No. Richard said it out loud. It's a reasonable offer. It would avoid years of litigation. It would give everyone something. It would preserve family relationships. There are no family relationships to preserve, Richard said. And we don't need to avoid litigation. We're going to win. David and Catherine are going to walk away with nothing except legal bills they can't pay. They're his parents. He should want to help them. They're people who abandoned him for 15 years and only showed up when there was money. Why would he help them? Because family is family. Family is people who show up. David and Catherine never did. So no. No settlement, no compromise. They get nothing. The lawsuit ended 6 weeks later. The judge ruled for us on summary judgment. Said the will was valid. Said my parents had no grounds to contest. The medical evidence was overwhelming. Their claims of undue influence, baseless. They appealed. State appellate court. Filed brief after brief. Lost. Appealed to the state Supreme Court. Denied. 5 months of fighting and finally it was over. The will was final. That was it, everything was mine. My parents had burned through $93,000 on lawyers, money they didn't have, money they begged and borrowed, maxed out credit cards, money they'll never pay back. When it was finally over, Richard called. It's done. Appeals are over. The will's final. Everything James left you is yours legally. Good, I said. He hesitated. Your parents called me yesterday. They're in trouble. All those legal fees wrecked them. They asked if you'd help out. Even just a little, just enough to get them back on their feet. No, I told him. But they wanted me to pass along a message. They're sorry. They said they finally understand. They admit they made terrible mistakes. They hope you'll forgive them someday. Tell them I'll think about it, but don't say I'll help. Because I won't. Got it? 6 months after James died, everything wrapped up. The estate settled, assets transferred. I owned it all. $47 million, liquid. All invested, stocks, bonds, real estate, trusts, pulling in about $2.3 million a year just sitting there. The house I'd lived in for 15 years, now mine. Paid off. Worth $2 million, no mortgage. The beach house on San Juan Island, where we spent summers, where he taught me to sail, to fish, to love the world. Mine too. $1.8 million. Then the commercial properties. 4 office buildings in Seattle, 2 mixed-use developments in Bellevue, bringing in another $800,000 a year. $12 million just in buildings. And then Cooper Industries. James's company, making aerospace and medical components. $78 million a year in revenue, $12 million profit. I was the owner now. Chairman of the board. Final say on everything. But I didn't quit my job. Didn't need the money, but I loved architecture. Designing buildings, shaping spaces where people actually lived, worked, found a life. Still, I started thinking about legacy. What do I do with all this? How do I honor James? He was always giving. Always helping. I wanted to keep that going, maybe even make it bigger. I sat down with financial advisors, lawyers, nonprofit consultants. We built something together, the James Cooper Foundation for Abandoned Children. The whole purpose was to give support, resources, and real opportunities to kids whose parents ditched them. Kids in foster care, kids raised by grandparents or aunts, kids who know what unwanted feels like. We set up therapy, scholarships, mentoring, housing. Whatever they needed to stand on their own. I put in $10 million to start. Set it up so $1 million a year would flow in from the investment returns. Made sure it would last, made sure James's name would keep doing good. We launched 6 months after he died. Had a ceremony. Press showed up, local leaders, and most importantly the kids we wanted to help. I gave a speech. Talked about James, about how one person showing up can change everything. How I wanted to pay that forward. James Cooper saved my life. Not just by taking me in after my parents left, but by loving me. By proving family isn't about blood, it's about who stays. I said, this foundation is how I'll keep his work going. How I'll help kids who feel unwanted, who don't fit anywhere, who need someone to believe in them, like James believed in me. People clapped. Some cried. The kids looked at me with hope, like maybe they could build something too. Like maybe they weren't broken just because their parents failed them. That day I handed out the first scholarship. $100,000 to Emma, 17. Her parents left her at 14. Her grandma raised her. She was about to graduate, wanted to be a doctor, but had no way to pay for college. Now she did. Full ride, room, board, books, everything. All from James. She cried. She hugged me. Said, thank you. I can't believe this is real. I told her, you earned it. You're going to do something amazing. I know it. She's in med school now, 3rd year, crushing it. Sends me updates every few months. Proof that betting on people pays off in ways you can't measure. I bought the house I grew up in, the one in Spokane where my parents left me on the porch. Paid $650,000 in cash. Then I donated it to a local nonprofit. Turned it into a group home for at-risk youth. Now it's a place where kids who have nowhere left to go can finally feel safe. Where they can find people who show up. I put up a plaque on the front, bronze right by the door. James Cooper House. Named for a man who never walked away. Somehow my parents heard about it. They called me. First time I'd heard their voices since the lawsuit wrapped up. Daniel, we heard about the house. What you did with it. That's beautiful. Really. James would be proud. We're proud too. For what it's worth. It's worth something. Not everything, but something. They told me they'd been thinking about everything. The whole mess. The mistakes. And they wanted to apologize. Not for money, not for anything else. Just because it was the right thing to do. Okay. We're sorry. We're so sorry. We never should have left you. Never should have walked away. We were young and stupid and selfish and scared. Worst decision of our lives. Okay. Do you forgive us? I thought about it. About forgiveness. Whether they deserved it or if it really mattered. No, I said finally. I don't forgive you. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Forgiveness isn't just something you get for saying sorry. You have to earn it. Over time. By showing up. By being there. And you've never done that for me. So no, I don't forgive you. What can we do? How do we make this right? I don't know if you can. Some damage just sticks. Some choices leave marks that don't fade. You left. You chose not to be my parents. That changed my life. Changed me. Changed everything. And you don't get to erase that just because you're sorry now. So, what, we're never going to have a relationship again? We're never going to have the relationship you want? Not the one where we pretend the last 15 years didn't happen, or where I invite you to holidays and act like everything's fine. That relationship is gone. What's left is two people with the same DNA and a painful story. That's it. But we're your parents. You gave birth to me. Raised me for 13 years. But you're not my parents. James was. You showed up. You stayed. You loved me. You're just people I used to know. Silence. Long pause. Then my mom finally spoke. We miss you. You miss the idea of me. The version of me who forgives easily, welcomes you back, shares his inheritance. But that's not me. I'm who James raised. I care about actions, not words. I don't accept apologies without changed behavior. And you haven't changed. You're still the people who walked away when things got hard. You're just upset now that it cost you something. We're not those people anymore. Prove it? Oh, that's up to you. If you want a relationship, you'll have to earn it like James did, by showing up, being consistent, proving over years that you're different now. Maybe, after years of that, we can talk about forgiveness. But not now. Maybe not ever. They said they understood. Started calling once a month just to check in, say hello. Never asked for money, never asked for favors. Just called. Tried to show up in the small ways they could. It wasn't enough. Not yet, maybe not ever. But it was something. A start. The first step on a long road. I built a life with what James left me. Nothing extravagant. Just a life with freedom. Freedom to work because I wanted to, not because I had to. Freedom to give because I could. Freedom to build something that mattered. I grew the foundation. Created programs. Helped hundreds of kids. Thousands, eventually. Kids who needed someone to believe in them. Kids who needed proof their parents' failures didn't have to decide their story. I kept my job, kept designing buildings, kept creating. I joined the Cooper Industries board, learned the ropes, started making decisions, kept James' company strong. I met someone. Sarah. 29, social worker. Met her through the foundation. She worked with at-risk youth, got my history, didn't judge, didn't pity. She just accepted that my story was complicated, and loved me anyway. We dated 2 years. Took it slow, careful. Built trust, built something real. I proposed on the beach at the San Juan Island house, the place James and I spent summers. Where he taught me to sail. Where I learned family isn't who you're born to, but who chooses you. She said yes. We got married a year later. Small ceremony. His house. Now my house. 50 people, friends, colleagues, Sarah's family, people who mattered. I didn't invite my parents. Sarah asked if I wanted to. I said no. She understood. Loved me enough to let me decide. At the reception, I stood up and talked about James. I tried to say what he meant to me, but honestly, words always fall short. Everything good in my life, this house, this life, Sarah saying yes to me, traces back to him. James Cooper is why I'm here now. He taught me to believe in love, in family, in showing up, because that's what he did every single day for 15 years. He showed me that family isn't just blood. It's choice. It's what you do. It's love shown over and over, even when it's hard. I stopped for a second, looking around at Sarah, at our friends, at the life we're making. James isn't here in person, but honestly, he's everywhere. In the walls, in the foundation with his name on it, in every story passing around the table. He's part of me. He taught me what it feels like to be loved. What it means to matter. What it's like to have someone who won't give up on you no matter what. I promised everyone right there I'd spend my life trying to live like that. To show up for people. To love them even when it's not easy. People clapped. Some cried. Sarah was crying, happy tears, proud tears. I thought of James, the man who saved me, the father who picked me, the legacy he left behind, so much bigger than money. 3 years after James died, I got a letter from my parents. It was long. Careful. Handwritten. They got it finally. They wrote that they knew they'd never get back what they threw away with me. Some damage sticks. Some consequences never go away. We don't deserve forgiveness, they said. We know that. But we want you to know we regret every day of the last 18 years. Regret leaving, regret not reaching out, regret missing your life, regret not being the parents you needed. They kept going. We see what you've built, the foundation, the lives changed, the legacy, and we know it's because of James, not us. He was the father you deserved. He gave you what we couldn't. We're grateful he loved you. Grateful you became the man you are, in spite of us. They ended with this: we know we'll never be part of your life the way we should have been. We lost that right. But we're proud from a distance. Proud of what you've done. Proud you survived and thrived after us. That's all. No expectations. No requests. Just wanted you to know. I read that letter 10 times looking for some catch, some hidden ask, some angle. There wasn't one. Just regret. Just pain. I didn't write back. Didn't see the point. They said what they needed to. I heard it. That was enough. 5 years after James died, I started the James Cooper Award. $100,000 every year for a young person who's been abandoned but is building something real. We handed it out at a black tie event. Donors, foundation recipients, people touched by James' legacy. Everyone was there. My parents showed up too. I didn't invite them, but they came, sat in the back, didn't come near me, just watched. Watched what I'd built, with the inheritance they once tried to take. After the ceremony, my mom approached. She looked like she expected me to turn her away. "Daniel, that was beautiful," she said. "The speech, the award, James would be so proud. We're proud too. For what it's worth. And it was worth something. Not everything, but something." She nodded, accepting it. "That's more than we deserve." "Yeah, it is." She started to leave, then stopped. "I know we'll never have a real relationship. I know we broke that, but I want you to know I think about you every day. I check the foundation updates, the news, and I'm grateful. Grateful you survived us. Grateful James was there. Thank you for saying that." "It's true," she said. "And I needed to say it. Even if it doesn't fix anything, it changes something. Not everything, but something." She left. I watched her walk out. Watched both of them go, knowing I'd probably see them again at some event, but never in my life, not really. Not the way they wanted. And that was okay. I'd built a life that didn't need them in it. A life that felt full and real. Now I'm 33. 5 years without James. 5 years learning how to live without the person who saw me, who never gave up on me. I still feel him though. Every decision, every time I have to decide who I want to be, he's right there in my head. I hear him when I help kids who need it, when I give scholarships, when I try to give someone else the chance that changed everything for me. I feel him every time I show up. When I keep my word. When I'm the person who sticks around even when things get ugly. I feel him when I look around at my life. The Sarah, the work we do, the foundation, all of it. None of this would exist if he hadn't believed in me back when my parents didn't. My parents and I, well, we have a relationship now. If you can call it that. It's small. Distant. We talk a few times a year. They send Christmas cards. Sometimes I reply. That's about it. Maybe that's all it'll ever be, and honestly, that's fine. I don't need them anymore. I didn't need them at 13, even though I thought I did. I sure don't need them now. I'm 33. I'm married. I run a foundation that actually changes lives. I'm building something that matters. Yeah, I have James's money. But what really matters is what he left me behind the scenes. His lessons, his values, the way he lived. He taught me that showing up matters, that consistency matters, that loving people when they're at their lowest counts for more than being there when things are easy. He proved that family isn't about blood, it's about choice. It's about action. It's 15 years of someone picking you, every single day. Now it's on me to pay that forward. To become what James was for me. To show up, to stay, to love people even when it's hard. That's his legacy. Not the money, but the example. The proof that one person can change everything. Just one person showing up can save a life. Can build a future. Can create something that outlasts them. Uncle James saved me. Not just by giving me a place to live, but by loving me. By showing me I was worth loving. He proved my parents' failure to see my worth was about their limits, not mine. He saved me. Now it's my turn to do that for others. That's the real inheritance. Not the $47 million, but the knowledge that I'm worth showing up for, and the responsibility to show up for someone else. That's everything. Thanks for walking this road with me. Before you go, I left 2 more stories here on your screen, both from men who learned that family isn't always the people you're born to, but the ones who stand by you when the truth finally comes out. Click on whichever one pulls at you. And if you want to be part of a community that gets what it's like to be on the outside looking in, that little bell is your invite. Until tomorrow, remember, your story matters even if someone tried to erase it.